Good morning, children. Today we are going to start with history lesson number 8, tribal communities. So the society underwent many changes during the medieval period. There were two types of societies. One was the caste-based society, in which people were divided into high or low caste according to their birth. There was a great, huge gap between the high and low caste groups, and the other was the tribal society, which did not follow the caste rules laid by the Brahmins. Tribal societies were more equal in nature. The tribal societies. We know little about the tribal societies. The reason is that the tribal people did not keep written records. They preserved their customs and traditions orally. That means they used to pass it from one generation to the next by word of mouth only. No written records were not there. The second reason is that the tribal people did not easily let outsiders into their areas of living. And the third one, the tribal people generally lived in a remote area. That is the reason why we do not have much idea about the tribal people. Now let us start with the occupations of the tribal people. The tribal people engaged in agriculture, herding and hunting and gathering. That means that were their occupation. They depended on the natural resources of the region they lived. So wherever they lived, they used to live according with the things that they got from those places. Either they were engaged in agriculture or then herding, that means they took care of the animals and cattle. So then they were hunters, or they used to gather things from the nature. Some people led a nomadic lifestyle. That means nomadic people didn't have a permanent place to live. They moved from one place to another. And there were people who settled in a permanent place where they followed agriculture as their occupation. And the tribal people followed the occupation of going from one place to another and selling their goods, entering with people of other places. Some tribal groups, there were many tribal groups, and each had its own customs, beliefs, and lifestyles. Some groups were small, some were very large and powerful, and controlled a lot of territories. Some of the tribes were Mundas, Sandals, Khasis, Nagas, then the Todas, Bhils, and Kolis, etc. Life of the nomadic tribal groups. Most of the tribal people were nomads. Nomads means they moved about with their animals. They didn't stay in a particular place. Or what do? When the food of a particular place for their animals finishes, they move to another area. Then they exchange milk, honey, wool, ghee, etc. to buy other things from other tribal people. The tribals transported grains from villages to towns on bullock carts. Then they sold animals such as horses and cattle to people of towns they visited. Changing nature of tribal society. When the tribals were exposed to other people, other culture, their lifestyle changed changed a lot. So slowly they began to change their isolated lifestyles. Otherwise, the tribals didn't get mixed up with other people. They have a different lifestyle. They used to separate themselves with the other people. They led an isolated life. During the medieval period, some tribes became more powerful. They controlled the key trade routes and forest resources and became very powerful. The Gonds and the Ahoms were powerful tribals who established powerful independent kingdoms. Now let us study about the Gonds. Gonds are one of the most powerful tribal communities in central India. The name Gond comes from the Telugu word Konda, which means hill. They were living in hilly area, so the region was called Gondwana. Gondwana means a place where there were number of hills. Several Gond kingdoms came up in the Mughal times. So this was very well explained in Akbarnama. One of the leading personalities of the Gonds tribe was Rani Durgavati. Rani Durgavati was so powerful that Akbar offered her the choice of becoming a vassal of the Mughal, but she refused it. She fought for her country and died fighting for the cause of her kingdom. The tribal people were very closely associated with nature. They liked to follow all the natural things. They were not As time passed, the Gond society got divided into many unequal social groups, and the administrative system also changed to meet the needs of their larger kingdom. The Gond kingdoms were divided into ghars. Then each ghar was divided into numerous chaurasis. In that, it was consisted of 84 villages. The Gond kingdom was very rich. They exported elephants to other kingdoms, including to the Mughals. The Gonds practiced agriculture, and it was zoom cultivation, that means shifting cultivation, and another name for it is the slash and burn. The Gonds led nomadic lifestyle. And what do you mean by shifting cultivation? The people burned the trees and the forest and the bushes, then they start cultivating the place. When the fertility of the place get exhausted, they move to another place and repeat the same. That is why it is called the slash and burn cultivation or shifting cultivation. The Marathas defeated the Gonds and took over them some of their territories. The English finally took over Gondwana in the 19th century. Another tribal community is the Ahoms. The Ahoms were a tribal community who established a kingdom in the region of present-day Assam. Assam is probably derived from the word Ahom. The original homeland of the Ahoms may have been China. The first Ahom king was probably Sukhafa. He ruled for 40 years. The Ahoms expanded their territories by defeating the local rulers. They also fought against the Mughals. The Ahoms had a tribal setup. The village community was very powerful. It allotted lands to the peasants based on their needs. The peasants cultivated food crops, particularly rice, on their land. Peasants and others also had to serve in the army during war. People lived in houses made of bamboo. Tribal gods were worshipped, and in the 18th century, some Ahoms adopted Hinduism as their religion. Rudra Singh was the most powerful Ahom ruler. So the lesson is completed.